From the studios of Books in Motion, this is Andrea Bates reading Dune House by Eunice Mays Boyd. Now let's begin Dune House with Chapter 1. The cable car lurched along the foot of Russian Hill, the work-bound passengers outside gripping the handles for dear life. It lurched past streets grown over with grass, too steep for automobiles. Across the house-filled hollow, there was enough fog on Telegraph Hill to turn Coit Tower into the smokestack of a ship. The cable car jounced another block, and the smokestack was gone. Down Greenwich Street, the tower became a finger, one finger upraised. That reproving finger, the scold of the cable in its slot. On the front platform of the car, Lark Williams was, for an instant, a shivering child again, her Aunt Sophie looming over her. Lark had to remind herself that she was 23 years old now and a married woman. A fat, genial-looking man squeezed between her and a brown-faced naval commander, and the car jerked on. It had been 5 years since Uncle Thad had died, and Lark had run away from Aunt Sophie's chicken ranch and her lashing tongue. 5 years of San Francisco, business school for one of them, and then 4 years at Rowland and Hildreth, attorneys at law. The cable car heaved itself from Mason Street into Washington, and Lark tightened her hold for the next turn at the end of the block that would shake off the napping passengers in the left-hand outside seats. Up the street, she saw a young couple belting after the cable car, hand in hand. That was what marriage should be. She wouldn't have minded keeping on with her job if she and Aubrey could go to work together like the two now panting aboard. She smiled when she saw the grip man slow to let them catch up. Marriage wasn't meant to be just 6 weekends in 3 months. It was meant to be 2 cups on the breakfast table, and heating the baby's bottle, calling Aubrey at his office to bring home an extra lamb chop. Lark had never had that kind of life, with her father dying before she was born and her mother when she was still young. Uncle Thad and Aunt Sophie had barely spoken to each other or to her, but she and Aubrey had to wait 4 years to make their marriage public. In 4 years, Aubrey's partner would retire. If she'd only known what she was getting into, but she had no right to think such things, Lark told herself sharply. Aubrey had warned her. He'd been more than fair. It was a vicious circle. Aubrey couldn't marry without reducing the alimony payments to his first wife. If he applied for a reduction, she would bring out scandals that had been suppressed at the trial that would make his scandal-fearing senior partner dissolve their partnership. Even if Aubrey had been younger, Lark wouldn't have asked him to start over. It didn't go with his plumed hat and lace-at-the-sleeves air that she wouldn't change for anything. The simplest thing was to keep their marriage secret until his partner retired. She still had Lark Williams on her mailbox, and the nearest her husband had ever come to her apartment was the curb outside the door. The cable car flung around the corner to Powell Street. She should have braced for the turn, and only being wedged in kept Lark from pitching off. They began to climb Nob Hill, Clay Street, Sacramento. Across each fog-dimmed intersection, the Bay Bridge thrust its long steel band, reinforcement for the next block of houses. Like a needle, thought Lark, and the blocks were long beads, the kind a baby plays with. As she watched a slim man in Occidental gray wriggle up the crowded step, a newspaper, 3 shoulders over, caught her attention. The picture of a large house spiked with towers like unlighted fireworks. Between the shoulders she could read the word Dune. Dune House, of course, was a landmark on the beach. Fenced off from the public by ocean and wire and a mile-long rectangle of dunes that the road had to skirt, the house stood alone on a cliff facing the waves of sand instead of water. Dune House's owner, old Miss Julia Paget, was rolling
Sample complete. Ready to continue?